Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sporting Perspective. It is the beginning of the NBA playoffs, and I guess lock in because it's going to be 2 months of basketball nonstop action. Before we get started, James, this is really the only time to pay attention to the NBA these days, right?
I would say so. I not to go on like a little rant or anything, but I feel like the NBA. I don't want to say is it a all time low, but there's a lot of friends of mine and a lot of people I've talked to who aren't as into the NBA as they used to be. Um, but having watched the Suns play-in game the other night against Portland, that was my first time watching an NBA game. I want to say since Christmas. There's no way I had to have tuned in, but maybe not with the kid. I don't know. I can't even think that far back now, but I don't know. There's just something about the way the game is played now, and just the lack of like a big American star. Nothing against the European and international stars of the NBA. I love watching Luca, Wemby, throw in Shea Gildas Alexander since he's Canadian. But I don't know. There's just something that I just have been not interested in watching the NBA. And as a Suns fan, they actually exceeded expectations. So yeah. But to answer your question, yes, the playoff basketball is a lot of fun. Guys go hard, rotations. You're not getting 10 to 50. You're not getting everyone going into the game. They condense it a little more to their 8 9 man rotations. So it's better basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the NBA, if I can give it a comparison, it feels a lot like Avatar. um, in the aspect of
The TV show or the movie?
the movie,
Okay,
Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar.
gotcha.
Uh,
Not
yeah,
Airbender.
not Airbender. No, it reminds me a lot of Avatar in the aspect of the numbers that have come out about the season are viewership is up 80%, and we've never had higher attendance and all that stuff. But I don't know anyone that's actually watching.
Yeah,
Who's watching? So that's where I'm saying it's like Avatar, same thing. I was like, oh, we're $1 billion, and we're in theaters, but I didn't know anyone that saw Avatar two
I've
or
never
three.
heard of anyone who went to Avatar in theaters.
So it's like, so who's watching these games? Is the game gotten so international that you know everyone in China is watching, and is this just now a very international audience where but even the local, they're saying that even like the ticket sales, attendance at games is at an all-time high. I get it's not a football stadium. I get it's not a baseball stadium. It's 18,000, but at the exact same time, you know I've been here in Phoenix, for the last couple of years, and I'll just focus in on this year. I don't really even know anyone that went to a Suns game, but apparently 18,000 people are at every single Suns game. So it's a weird warp.
And people we know who used to have season tickets got rid of them.
Yeah. So it's like, so who's actually going, and um, are these numbers fudged a little bit? But regardless, the playoffs are always a great time, and it is a very star driven league, and we've really seen the transition from the old guard of LeBron James, Steph Curry, even Kevin Durant coming to the end here, where we've got this new wave of guys, SGA, Jason Tatum, Victor Wembanyama, and their teams are good, and even guys that their teams aren't there yet. Cooper Flag had a fantastic rookie year.
Yeah, solidified by what was it? Fourth last game, or it was like one of his last games of the season. Threw up 50 points.
Yeah. So, but that said, I think NBA is in a good spot. They just got to figure out this regular season for people to care. But apparently, their viewership's way up. So I don't know. I don't know who's watching. I don't know where it's going. But according to them, they're doing well.
Last thing I'll
Um,
say, I follow the. I haven't listened in a little while, but I follow the Steve Nash and LeBron James podcast, and they had an entire episode about refs, and LeBron was saying how even as someone who's currently playing still in the NBA, he was saying that the refereeing is a little wacky. Um, Fouls that should be fouls aren't being called. Fouls that shouldn't be called are being called. You know what I mean? Like kind of
Yeah,
something that should happen isn't happening, and then something that isn't happening should happen. Hand checking stuff like like basically LeBron was just like, there's times where I'm like, I can get away with murder in the paint, but then if I do the same thing outside the 3 point line, it's not a foul. And
yeah,
LeBron was like, it shouldn't matter where it is. A foul's a foul. And then, yeah, I don't know. They need to kind of fix how they're reffing games because there's kind of a disconnect right now, especially if you watch college basketball compared to NBA. They're different games. Like they're they're very very different games.
yeah. They're all different. And in my opinion, um, at this point of the world we're living in, I feel like the NBA is probably the hardest to officiate. Baseball has really now gotten to the technology era. Football, I think there's still a little bit of wiggle room of, you're not going to catch everything on every single play. But the NBA, being it's such a small court and we have all these angles now, seeing every single thing at every single moment, and these guys are so big, it's just such a tough sport to officiate.
Yeah,
So,
I guess we'll see where. It'll be interesting to see where basketball heads when the Steph Currys and LeBrons are gone and the
yeah,
rise of the new era comes up. I mean, maybe everyone talks about Curry changed the way the game is played from an X's and O's standpoint. Just the 3 point shot is valued so much more. Uh, as we see a lot in just like the world in general, you know, things change in
yeah,
10 to 20 year increments. So I wonder if, is the center ever going to be, is
yeah.
Wemby going to bring the center position back, maybe in a different type of way? But there was a stretch where like centers weren't really valued that high. It was all about 3-and-D wings and shooting threes, and now maybe we're gonna get like a ton of 7 foot centers who are just shooting threes, or I don't know. Maybe the down low game will come around again. I know Booker and Durant, if it was up to them, they'd want to bring the mid range back. But yeah, I guess we'll
Well, the other thing that's changed a
see.
lot, this is a little bit more for the NBA draft show that we'll do in 3 months, 2 or 3 months. One thing that's really changed here in the last 2 to 3 years compared to what it was like over the last almost 30 years is NIL has changed a lot in the aspect that the guys that are coming out into the draft now are a whole hell of a lot more prepared. And we've seen it now the last 2 years in particular, where we over the last decade plus, the guys from Europe would always perform really well, right out the gate because they were super prepared and stuff like that. But a lot of the guys went to college, would be one and done, and they would kind of get lost in the shuffle, and then maybe they'll make it, maybe they'll not. But now we're seeing more and more, especially with this upcoming draft class that's coming out. We got a ton of guys that are going to make an impact right away. And we saw it this past year, a ton of rookies that contributed to their teams right away because they stuck around for that extra year because the NIL money was there. There was not this rush to go get paid. We're seeing better talent come out right away and impacts happening right away in the NBA.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's going to be with this conversation for another time. This upcoming draft class is going to be fantastic to watch. So because we have 7, 8, 9 guys that could make immediate impacts right away to teams. So with that said, though, shall we go through the first round of this playoff?
Yeah, it's hammered out the best we can.
Okay, cool. We'll start out the East, and I guess we'll go top to bottom. But we'll start with the 2-7 game. Boston taking on Philly. Philly's been very injury ridden, I guess, all season. Boston got Tatum back, about a month ago now. But Boston looks kind of like their old selves. Who do you like in this series?
Yeah, I'm going with Boston. 76ers looked good in their playing game. Maxi is a rising, if not already established star, but the lack of like a true second guy. I really do like VJ Edgecombe. I think in a couple years he could be really, really good. I mean, he already is really good, but he's just going to get even better. I just don't think he's quite there yet, maturity wise, to go up against the likes of like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And then the fact that Embiid just had an appendectomy and is out. Regardless of the appendectomy, you never know when he's going to play, and there's just not enough scorers on that team. I just don't think the 76ers have enough guys to compete with Boston. So I'm taking the Celtics. If I have to pick how many games, I'll go 5 just to say the 76ers maybe win one game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty easy series. I think Boston wins for a lot of the same reasons that you said. This is a little bit younger of a team that we saw even from a couple of years ago. A lot of new faces, but the core of Brown and Tatum are there. This is going to be a really tough team to eliminate, so I'm taking Boston. Let's go on to the next one. Rematch of, well, not a rematch, but we've seen this playoff matchup quite a bit over the last few years. Knicks, Hawks, Trae Young obviously got traded mid-season. Hawks really kind of moved around this roster a lot throughout the year. Quinn Snyder, though, getting once again the most out of what he's got. Did that a lot in Utah, now doing it in Atlanta as well. The Knicks, obviously, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, they're two big guys trying to get over the hump. Will they do it this year?
I think they definitely get through the first round. It is ironic that the Hawks get rid of Porzingis and Trae Young and get better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that speaks to the coaching or the fact that Trae Young and Porzingis were kind of cancers to that team. I won't throw Porzingis too much in there. He was hurt. He's always hurt, so it's like never even plays. But Trae Young, I mean, that was his team. He was the franchise guy. He was the guy that got traded for Luka to go to Atlanta. So, but that being said, it's now Jalen Johnson's team. That guy is an absolute stud. Again, I think the Hawks are just a little too young and not as deep as the Knicks. I mean, we've seen the Knicks in the playoffs the past couple of years, and Jalen Brunson can just do almost whatever he wants, it seems like, when the game's on the line and when he really needs a bucket, he can get it. So I like the Knicks. I think the Knicks, I don't want to say they handle the Hawks, but, it's not going to be a sweep. I won't say 5 games. I'll say Knicks in 6.
Fair. Yeah. I'm thinking kind of the same thing just because I like this Knicks team. I would love to see this Knicks team when go to the NBA Finals. I think that would be a lot of fun having the New York market involved. But the Knicks will win the series. It's going to be a struggle. They're not very good defensively, and that's their biggest Achilles heel is not good defensively. And when it comes to the playoffs, you have to have good defense. I don't think it hurts them in this series, but I'll kind of mention it. I don't think they can beat Boston this year because of that. So, Cleveland, Toronto.
I'm going Cleveland just because they have the guys. They have Mobley, Harden, Donovan Mitchell. The Raptors are fun because they run a ginormous lineup. They have like Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, Brandon Ingram, all guys who pretty much are the same position, but then they're just all thrown out there in the starting 5. They're athletic as hell, super fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Cleveland's the better team, and you bring in a James Harden, obviously, to win in the playoffs. Now, will that happen? History says probably not, just because James Harden isn't really a winner when it comes to the playoffs. He might go down if he never wins a championship as one of the greatest players to never win one, joining the likes of, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Steve Nash, guys like that. But I think the Cavaliers can handle the Raptors. And having home court, one thing we haven't mentioned in the past couple series we talked about, but home court in the NBA is a big deal. And I think for this being a 4-5 matchup, I think the Cavs having home court is going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah. I agree with you of everything you said. I don't have too much to add. I think this will be a good series, though, but I can have Cleveland ending up winning six or seven. Just too many guys, and the reason why you go out and acquire a James Harden at the trade deadline is to win, a series like this. It makes some noise in the playoffs. We'll go to the 1-8 game. Detroit taking on the winner of the play-in, which is Orlando and Charlotte. Charlotte won in a dramatic fashion over Miami a few nights ago. Who do you have? Do you have Detroit beating both these teams? What's kind of your layout here?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters whether it's Charlotte or Orlando. Obviously, we're not in the Pistons organization, but when it comes to matchups, it'll probably be a different type of matchup depending on you know whichever team you're playing. But Pistons have Cade Cunningham. He is I guess is up for the MVP. I saw something that he's because of his injury. I think he's still going to be eligible, even though he technically didn't meet the 65 game requirement. Which I like that. I think if you're sitting out games purposefully and resting,
Yeah,
then yes, you shouldn't be eligible for awards. But if it's an injury, I mean, that late into the season, and I mean the Pistons to be a 1 seed. I mean I can't even remember if they made the play. If they made the playoffs last year, they would have been like a 7 or 8 seed. But
yeah,
they really turned it around. And like I said, regardless of who they play, Charlotte or Orlando, not only do you have Cade Cunningham to worry about, but you have Jalen Duren. That guy is an absolute monster. So I like this Pistons team. They kind of remind me of the Bad Boys era. Very good defensively. Um, they're really not. I wouldn't. I'd have to look at the numbers, but just based on thinking of the roster in my head, they're not like a super offensive team. Cade Cunningham is an offensive player, but I wouldn't say he's not like he's like a knockdown shooter, like sniper from three. I mean, he's kind of a throwback, tall, big Magic Johnson type point guard. So, but yeah, regardless, we don't need. Pistons are going to win this series.
yeah. Pistons are going to win this series, in my opinion. I'm just going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. If it is Charlotte, Charlotte does something that can kind of like mess things up for Detroit. Detroit's really, that bad boy, very tough defensive team. They've got just about seven guys averaging more than 10 points a game, so they spread the ball out a lot. But they're tough to score against. But the thing is, one way you can beat the Pistons, and this is what Charlotte does, is Charlotte doesn't really run an offense. They're just running up and down the floor, and they're just chucking threes. And that's really all they're doing with, Ball doing his thing, and you have Knipple doing his thing, and you've got Kobe White doing his thing. I mean, I think they broke the record for most threes attempted this year. I mean, they're just chucking threes, so they don't even go in really the paint. They're just chucking like crazy. I think Ball in the play-in game went like 2 for 16 from three. And
Jesus.
it's like
Well,
it's
Knipple didn't
just
even make one.
you didn't even make
He
one. So,
didn't
but
make a three, and
even
he
when they're
was
not hitting, even when they're not
yeah.
hitting, they're just shooting threes. So that could be an interesting series just from the aspect of yeah, they're not even going to try to go inside. They're just going to chuck threes, and if they're hitting, we've seen it before. Teams can win series just by hitting threes.
Yeah.
If it's Orlando, I think Detroit wins easily. But Charlotte could make for a fun series.
Yeah, and you never know what Lamelo will do on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So, but
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
he changed that game by hurting Bam
He
Adebayo.
did, 100%, 100%. So, all right, let's jump over to the West really quickly. Um, I think the West has got a lot more evened out matchups, I guess is the best way to put it. Um, and we'll start out with probably the one that can go either way, Lakers and the Rockets.
I'm taking the Rockets here. I think similar to what we said about the Cavaliers. Granted, that was at the trade deadline when they got James Harden later in the season. The Rockets bringing in Kevin Durant was for moments like this. They were in the playoffs last year, but they just didn't have that guy who could close out a game. So now they do. So now the Rockets are in their win now window. The Lakers are interesting to me because for most of the season they were arguably one of the best teams in the NBA. Injuries have played a factor. LeBron is like 100 years old. Still plays well though. But yeah, I need to see what Luka looks like game one, and I feel like that would determine how I would play out that series. But right now, I'm assuming that he's not going to be fully healthy.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves has battled injuries. LeBron obviously is at his age just praying each day to stay healthy. So
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rockets. I'm taking Durant, and regardless, I think whoever wins this series won't beat the Thunder.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the Rockets to win this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rockets too. JJ Redick came out. He was either today or yesterday and said that both Luca and Austin Reeves have no return time at this point.
Oh, so they're not even really going to suit up for game one.
No,
Okay.
the one thing I will say is if the Lakers somehow find this to be a 7 game series, I think the Lakers win the series because I think Luca is just looking for time. If they get to game 5, game 6, I think Luca then comes back. I think Austin Reeves is probably only going to come back if they make it to the second round at this point. And that's a big what if even then too. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be the Rockets. I think it's going to go pretty quickly. I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be 4 or 5 because I think the Rockets are going to come out with urgency of knowing that the longer this series goes, the more likely Luka's going to come back. And Luka hits the floor and he's close to 100% game 4 or 5. It's a completely different series, though.
Yeah. I
So,
do like the Rockets defensively. Not that you can stop Luca,
yeah,
but being able to throw guys like the Thompson brother. Is it
yeah,
it's a man? A man or is it a Sar? A Sar's in Denver or Detroit.
Detroit.
A
Yeah,
man is in Houston. So yeah, a
yeah,
man.
yeah,
He's a really good player. He'd probably. I mean, he's probably their best defender. But anyways, like you said, we have a lot to. A lot has to fall in the Lakers. The chips need to fall the right way for the Lakers to even have a chance, probably, to win this series.
correct. You want to hear a fantastic, crazy stat, and this just tells you how good Luka is as an NBA player when healthy and everything's going right. Um, this season, of the 12 guys that were on the NBA championship roster with him, 9 of the 12 did not play in the NBA this year.
Interesting. That is
How crazy is that?
insane. Yeah, that's
Or
wild.
didn't play a game in this season. I mean, sure, one of them is Kyrie Irving, but 9 of the 12 didn't. It's only been 2 years. I mean, it shows you how crazy he was in that NBA. two
Yeah,
years later, and half the 3/4 of that roster didn't play. Nuts.
it's crazy.
All right. Well, let's go to I think the best first round matchup. Minnesota, Denver. This was a rematch from last year, second round. Who do you got here?
You got to go the Nuggets. I mean, Jokic is still arguably the best player in the NBA. I know Victor Wembanyama has something to say about that, but Jokic still does like crazy stuff, and you look at him and you still wonder how is this guy doing it? And it's like he's won multiple MVPs, and I still watch him, and I'm like, this guy, this chunky guy from Serbia, is from Serbia.
Yep.
Yeah, is dominating the NBA, and half the time it looks like he doesn't even care. He'd rather be at home with his horses. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
100%.
just for this series for Timberwolves to win, I think Ant needs to really just take that next level. And I feel like we say that, analysts say that, ESPN, anything you watch, it's always like, I mean, the Timberwolves have kind of been in that like 4, 5, 6 range. I feel like the past like 3, 4 years, and it's always like well, if Ant can take the next step, and he really hasn't yet, so at what point is he going to do it? And since I don't think he has yet, I'm going to take the Nuggets. Jamal Murray's also been playing out of his mind this year too. So having a really good Robin to Jokic being the Batman, I think the Nuggets are potentially a title contender.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Denver as well. I mean, it's really easy to forget though, and I was reminded of this today. Completely forgot about it. Minnesota the last 2 years has gone to the Western Conference Finals and lost. I completely forgot about that. The last 2 years. So it's hard to write off a team in the first round being like, this team's come and they've played well in the playoffs. They took down Denver last year in the second round in seven. But Jokic is, in my opinion, the best player on the planet. He can turn everything around. Denver's been, struck by the injury bug throughout the season. Hopefully Aaron Gordon is back to where he was because he's a big piece of that team. Um, I'm gonna go Denver, but I don't think it's gonna be easy.
There's also a player on the Nuggets who hasn't been on the Nuggets since they won the championship, and he was a key piece to that championship run, and that's Bruce Brown.
Oh yeah,
One of those guys who's just like a do everything player and doesn't need, the box score. The box score doesn't show you what he does for that
yeah.
team. He's kind of like for Suns fans, kind of like a PJ Tucker type.
All right, so let's go. Let's do these last two matchups, but I think these are gonna both be pretty rough. San Antonio, Portland.
I think San Antonio wins. I'll give it 5 games. I think the Trailblazers are an interesting team. Denny
Yeah.
Avdia is a rising superstar. He's a hell of a player.
Yep.
I think he could maybe win like a game for them. This series would be so much more fun if like Lillard was healthy, but I don't think there's not enough there for the Trailblazers to beat the Spurs.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got the Spurs winning in five as well. I think Victor Wembanyama really shows what he can do. Spurs team's really good. It's just not just him. They've got a lot of guys that they can run at you.
Oh yeah.
And Portland, while San Antonio also is young, Portland's just younger. So they do have pieces that have been there before. Holiday's been there before, sure. But this Portland story that started with their coach basically getting fired, and it's been kind of a cool story. Of you never would have thought this Portland team would make the playoffs.
Former Spur coach of the Trailblazers.
Yep. Well, one more matchup. Thunder get to play the winner of Golden State and the Suns. I don't think this is going to be much of a matchup either
I'm
way.
just gonna. I'm not even gonna go in depth on this. Thunder win regardless of who they play.
Yeah, Thunder win. I think they're just overpowered. Um, all right, so let's jump into kind of conference championships. Who you think is going to be in the conference championship? And then we'll go to the NBA Finals.
So for the East, I have the Celtics over the Pistons.
Okay.
I know I said a lot of nice things about the Pistons, but they just don't have the experience. And I think with Tatum back, that Celtics team is pretty deep. Should be a fun series. It'd be and Pistons Celtics would be a nice throwback series. Should be a lot of low scoring defensive games. But I just like the Celtics a little more. Western Conference, I have the Thunder over the Nuggets,
Okay.
which means I have the Nuggets actually beating the Spurs. And one thing I'll say about that, the Spurs, I love the Spurs and I love where they're headed. I just think they need. I think that they're the Thunder of 2 years ago, where they need that that little run in the playoffs to kind of figure out who they are, how to win. It's a lot of guys who've never been in the playoffs before. I don't even think has De'Aaron Fox been in the playoffs? Did Sacramento ever make it with him?
Oh, they
Maybe
did.
one
They
year
did
as like an eight
1 year.
seed.
Yeah, they did 1 year.
But
Yeah.
it's so many inexperienced guys that I think this will be the year before the year. Kind of like how the Thunder went in last year, and it's like, all right, the Thunder are such a good up and coming team, and then they did it last year.
Yeah.
I think the Spurs are in that same role, and this is going to be their kind of figuring out how do the playoffs work, because playoff basketball in the NBA is different than the regular season.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that being said, I'm taking the Thunder to beat the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. I think when the Thunder are fully healthy, I think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
And they kind of, I mean, they kind of got to go a little under the radar, which is kind of funny as a one seed in the West because they got the monkey off their back. Like I just said, they won the NBA Finals last year, so it wasn't the pressure isn't on them as much. So
Right.
so yeah, my finals are Thunder Celtics. I'll just finish it out and then I'll let you go. I'm running it back. I know it rarely happens. Not rarely happens in the NBA, I guess, but I'm taking the Thunder. I just think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he can get his shot whenever he wants, and then he can go to the free throw line whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, until I see someone like really handle the Thunder, I think they're set up for success for a long time. And we could even go into they have so many first round picks coming up too. It's insane. I mean, this is literally could be a juggernaut for years and years to come. It probably won't go that way because it just doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah.
But you, you
Yeah.
never know. So I'll take Thunder over the Celtics. Let's go. Let's go a full 7-game series because that's what the fans want, and that's what makes the NBA Finals fun when it goes all 7 games.
Cool. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Mine are pretty similar. I got Boston, Cleveland. Boston beating Cleveland. I think Boston is actually the only team, unless injuries happen. I think Boston's the only team that can come out of the East. I just don't see anyone else coming out of the East. I would love to, but so I got Boston beating Cleveland. The West a little bit more open, but I got Thunder beating the Spurs, Thunder beating the Spurs, and then I got the same as you, Thunder beating Boston. I think it's going to be a long series. A lot of the same things that you said, I would just repeat. Overall, though, even though I believe the Thunder are very dominant, I see 3 teams potentially getting out. Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets. I don't think anyone else can get out. I could see the Spurs going on a run. They're just so young. They are very defensively driven, which is what you need in the playoffs anyways. And then Denver has, as we said before, best player on the planet. Jokic can take anyone. Will happen. We don't know. Jokic is also, to your defense of taking the Nuggets over the Spurs, Jokic is one of the few guys that has actually been able to play well against Victor Wembanyama. There's been very few that could actually say that as big men. So Nuggets beating the Spurs, I could very well see that happening, but I'm going to take the Spurs because I think it would be a hell of a matchup, Thunder-Spurs. I think that would be very entertaining to watch. And the Spurs actually have the Thunder's number this year. I think taking 3 or 4 from them, if I remember right. But overall, my prediction would be Thunder over Celtics. I think there's only 4 teams, though, realistically, if I was betting on it, that could actually bet on.
I'd say we could give MVPs, but I mean, we can wait and do that. Do a whole finals preview later and do stuff like that.
2 months from now. We don't even have to worry.
Yeah, we got a lot of playoff basketball.
We got a lot of playoff basketball. So, but outside of that, do you have anything else you want to go into or no?
I don't think so. I'm little NBA draft talk. I'm hoping that Koa Pete forgoes the NBA draft to come back to Arizona. Be kind of nice, and I think he needs some polishing. But I don't think so. Other than that, I was pretty pleased with the Suns and how they played this year. Like I said, I don't really watch much basketball recently. Part of that due to the kid. But I'm liking where Phoenix is headed.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Green's a hell of a player. Next step is just having Devin Booker score more than 3 points in the fourth quarter of a major game.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have much to say. I guess we can mention that Michigan won the national championship, so hats off to them.
Yep.
I think that's really about it. We got NFL draft next week.
Yep. We might do a show for that. I don't know. I mean, it's we'll probably do a show for that. we'll probably jump on at some point. So
We could do like a post
recap
draft,
it.
like maybe
Yeah.
where guys landed, or big name guys, or what teams did the best, or rather than, I mean, I'd say we could do a preview, but like
Nah, we don't need it.
that'd
We'll do
be
a post. We'll do a
yeah.
reaction. So we'll go and break down the trades. So, because hey, football season is closer than you think. So
Well, and everything I've read is that it could be a really trade heavy first round of the draft.
that's what I think is going to happen too. So I think a lot of people are trying to stack up for that 27 draft coming up. So, but all right, well, that's all we got. Until next time, we'll see you all later.
Peace.